Hi, I'm Mike Svob, and today I want to talk a little bit about where to go to paint on location and why. Now, I'm going to talk a little more about other things, such as how to set up maybe a bit, just to keep you out of trouble. But first of all, where to paint when you go outside. Find things that you're interested in. Go to wherever you are interested in and try and go on decent days where the weather's, reasonable and stuff like that. But it can become a search for your soul in many ways. For me, it is. I go to places I love, and that's where I paint. And I go to places sometimes that I find that I fall in love with as I learn to paint them. But I will go to certain places. I've done street scenes over the years. I used to go to East Vancouver when it was really a slum, and I'd go early in the morning because late in the day it was a zoo. So I'd go early in the morning and I'd set up like 8 o'clock in the morning, and people would be crawling out of dumpsters and stuff like that. But everything was kind of all higgly-piggly and run down, and it was just great painting material. So for years I did that, and I'd clear out by the early afternoon before all the drug addicts came in and started doing what they were going to do. But anyway, that was one of the places I would paint. I also, along the same lines, there was a guy who was a manic depressive, lived on a road here out towards Maple Ridge, and he collected junk. And he had the greatest collection of still lifes outside that I'd ever seen. So I started by painting across the road from this guy. I'd go out on my bike in those days, park my bike, set up, and do paintings of this guy's place and all his junk. And eventually he came out, and I thought for sure he was going to chase me away. The guy invites me into his house and into his backyard, and I probably did 50 to 100 paintings from this guy's house. The sad part of that is the city came along after and considered him a, whatever, so they bulldozed his whole property and all his junk, and that was the end of Dave. But you never know what's going to inspire you when you're looking for things to paint as an artist. Now, I got lucky. I did well as an artist, so, over time, I could go to places like, the south of France and Italy and places like that where the weather's really good. You get dry weather and you can paint outside day after day after day. That's great. There's great stuff to paint there, but you don't need to do that. You can probably paint in your backyard on a nice day almost endlessly. You'll find things to paint. But go outside, look for things to paint, and then figure out how you're going to paint it. Now, I want to make a couple of mentions about, how to set up when you're painting outside. One of the things you really don't want to do is paint on a windy, wet, rainy kind of day. I've done it. I do it every once in a while just to see what happens. Sometimes I get interesting things happening, but it's very uncomfortable. And it's a lot easier to go when it's nice out, put your painting out of the sun, in the shade. I set up myself in the shade if it's a hot day. I don't stand out in the sun and paint on a hot day because all I can think about is how hot I am and I can't focus on the painting. So I go stand in the shade. I make sure my painting's out of the sun so that when I take it inside, I don't have this washed out painting because I painted in such bright light. So painting's out of the sun. I'm standing in the shade if I need to. I've got bug spray if I need it. I make sure I've got a drink. I'm reasonably comfortable. Sometimes if I don't want to talk to people, I put on headphones so I can ignore them, even though the headphones aren't on a lot of the times, right? But it's fun. One other thing about painting outside that I noticed now, I've done a lot of painting outside over the years. I painted all kinds of great big projects outside. And, sometimes you attract a crowd and they make all kinds of comments about your work. So you get a sense of what people think about what you're doing. So that's kind of fun too. You get to talk to people if you're in a place that's a little more crowded. And, they give you a sense of what you're doing. They make funny comments about your work. And that's part of it as well. Exposing yourself as an artist, right, to something like that is a good idea as well. So you're getting the comments, you're getting their feedback from people. And I always like that as well. So sometimes I listen, sometimes I don't want to listen, but painting outside has always been a good experience for me. And just watch the way you set up and have fun, go outside. It'll make you a better painter. I hope you found this information useful. Now, I have a handout called How to Fix Your Painting, and you can get it by clicking on the link below. Thank you for watching.